there's a definite kind of uptick, it seems, in the two of them seeing this place, and it's really nice to see a familiar place now, especially for the two of you. It's been kind of semi-foreign locations up until this point. So, what are you guys doing?
Now that we're out of the drift, I'm gonna do that search I was talking about.
The Googles.
All right. So you guys take an orbital kind of lap, just getting into orbit, and connecting to the local network, and you're searching for yourself
And his name.
and his name.
Yep.
All right. Computers check.
Nemo, could you let us know what the atmosphere is like down there and temperature?
19.
Give us the readout.
19. 19. Oh, certainly. And with your 19, don't really see anything. Seems like there's, anywhere you're looking, like police reports, what you assume, like would be just a regular repository of information. Any sort of databases that you scroll through, you don't see anything. And Nemo gives you the lowdown of it. The atmosphere of Akiton has been steadily stripping away in the centuries past of the planet itself. While it's still able to support life, that life is very harsh. The gravity lighter than say like that on Absalom Station certainly makes it feel a little bit less harsh in that respect. But the majority of the planet is of the desert or arid variety. There's very few locations that are kind of reprieves from this kind of oppressive atmosphere, except for the large metropolises that occupy many of the large mile-long trenches and canyons, along with the stark contrast of the polar regions that are actually quickly shifting from that arid to more hilly, to it's almost alpine-ish, and then into the actual like glacial regions where vast majority of Akiton's water supply comes from those glaciers. And
We're heading to the rift. Whereabouts is that?
You guys, he just kind of lays out a very kind of grid sort of like lookout, and on the northern hemisphere of Akiton, you see where he's indicated that the Adao Rift is located, and even from space, it's not large, at least like in the grand scheme of things, but you can see a definite kind of jagged sort of line that stretches its way across a good portion of the surface.
All right. Let's make our way, boys.
All right, piloting check as you guys are leaving orbit and heading down.
23.
23? Easy enough. The prospect of, returning home definitely kind of like keeping you sharp, and you, without issue, very, very little rumble. You break down into the atmosphere, and the very kind of cloudy, dusty sort of vapors that blow back and forth. It's like, a very quick, like fast kind of salt flats sort of like fly over, except a little more hilly in that regard. And eventually you do see the more jagged kind of like moving hills, and you see running across the ground large bestial herds, some of which, you only get like a fast glimpse at, but they definitely seem reptilian in nature. You flying closer to your destination eventually see large sand crawlers that seem to be kind of almost meandering in their movement across. You see very like long grid crosses of track marks. The occasional like grav lift train that seems to be kind of like coming in at a perpendicular angle of far below you, and then just cutting underneath, seem to be going off to some far destination. Eventually you do see the very beginnings of the Adal Rift, and as it slowly stretches wider and wider and wider, and it seems to be, good 200-300 feet wide at the point where you start to see buildings kind of like poking out of the top. You see large kind of pluming smokestacks as you come in lower into a more closer look. And through the side viewport, you can see that the trench is very deep, very deep. It's at some parts you can see kind of the with the sun at the angle that it is, like the far side of the wall, where many of the buildings seem to almost be having those heat wave lines coming from them with the just oppressive continuous light at this time of day. You can definitely see the slow progression of sides of buildings that seem to be just getting heat burned, or like heat impressions on them and things like that. And you can see like the shadows seem to be casting very long lines. You see the very faint kind of back and forth of little shuttles, and eventually you do see where there's a more landing port near the edge of Marrow. I mean, this portion of the trench is the trench city of Marrow, and
You guys been here before?
Oh yeah.
You been
kicking
around?
up dust. There's just a perpetual film of dust on. It seems that kind of clears with a landing and then refolds over the landing pads when ships' engines cut off and yours. You feel the buckle of the ship
Okay.
as you land.
Before we get off, are there anything with the culture that we have to deal with?
Just keep close watch on your pouches and everything, and be ready for a lot of dust, a lot of wind.
We don't have to make anything to prove.
No, they're not the
No.
most
No.
sociable.
Just prove you're with
So
anything.
the exact opposite of.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean,
if you keep to yourself,
yeah, don't expect people to be too nice, but
yeah, they're not gonna fucking be dicks.
as long as you can prove that you're worth something to somebody, you're good. You're fine.
I take a moment with that comment, and I'm just like. I'm thinking about that.
Once again.
Yeah. Kind of
All right.
Shit.
So you eventually disembark, and you get the local kind of shuttle master that's handling people quick ferrying from the landing pads to the kind of long stretch. Seems like a very large continuous building that stretches across this side section of the trench or of the canyon. And the Yusoki that greets you is a very dusty kind of look, and he looks at you guys as you're passing, and you see him just kind of doing a weird he's like a data pad, and just kind of without even looking, he's like, yep. And he looks at each one of you as you pass, and then lets you in without an issue. You guys see now this long kind of overlooking balcony almost. It's a long walkway that's very sparse in traffic. It seems like very few people want to be up on this level because there's definite wind and the blistering kind of sands that are kicking across.
The moment we step anywhere outside, I put my goggles down and dial them so it lets in less light and just kind of scarf.
Yeah, it's
I pull up my neckerchief and pull my hat down.
it's really abrasive.
Drop my visor.
The sand's really invasive and abrasive. You just, as soon as you're getting a
I'm thinking about putting on my little
couple
support
steps, you're
boots.
just
skitter. Life
Yeah.
support.
It's just pelting your arm. Yeah, sand.
Yeah.
So.
It's gonna just
So,
be all
what do you-
scuffed and dull.
What do you guys do?
Leave her
Curse
up
at
to
the
well.
windstorm for one.
Man, this weather sucks.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find somewhere to shelter.
I'd say let's maybe grab a little bit of refreshment, get you boys acclimated.
Aren't we supposed to find this Shando Ren guy?
Oh, we got plenty of time. Things move at a different pace here on Akiton. You'll come to learn that.
Well, you should show us around. Show us your place.
Follow your guys' lead.
We'll make our way there. It'll take us a little bit to get to my place proper, but
It'd be a good place to set up shop.
I already done that. But
I haven't. We need to get our stuff ready.
fair enough.
Or shiz.
And our plan.
So we're
once
just-
we meet.
Right.
We're gonna go to like whatever local watering hole me and him know about.
The well-trained hole.
You kind of quickly scan through, and
The Goopy clan.
you see that there's the Dust Bowl is it's as watering hole as it gets, but it is definitely one of those places that you get a drink. There's a reprieve from the wind and the sun.
They've got little saloon style doors on the outside that still. But
They retract.
yeah, they're like,
They retract.
They don't swim.
they're only like as big as your torso, but they just don't swing. They just.
For a second, I thought
They're
that
they're
was
hollow.
solid.
They're holographic, so they're just
Wow.
You just
and
phase through
they're
them.
not